Okay. So normally, what do you mean by data structure or a variable? Okay, what do you mean by a variable? So we have discussed this in the previous sessions. What do you mean by a variable? Anyone in the comment or can unblock your voice? So it is used to save a data object, right? Let's say if I am storing an object 4, so I'm storing it in a variable x is equal to 4. So x will be my variable here, right? I'm unable to open the chart. Right. Variable is like container to store the value. Okay. So here we can store at most only one value, right? Like for every variable, we are storing x is equal to 4. Here we are storing only one value. So there is a stack memory and the stack memory and heap memory as I told. And when a variable is created, we're storing it in a memory. Okay. Let's say we have 1,000 data, 1,000 objects. So we have class of 1,000 students, let's say, and you want to store names of 1,000 people. So how can we store the names of 1,000 people in one variable? So using the strings or other things, you cannot store multiple objects in one variable, right? So it's not possible. So normally we need to create student one and name, student two name. Likewise, we need to create thousand variables. Like it's a normally we do this for creating a variables or for storing the object in the variable. But there are data structures called. So we'll be talking about list first. So we have a list data structure that can store multiple values in one variable. Okay. So as I told, there are 100 students, 1,000 students in class. I can store names of student one, student two, till 1,000 people, right? So for if we talk about the definition, list is a collection of items that can hold different data types. So we can show different data types in a list. So list is represented by square brackets here. Okay. So to create a list, we need to give an variable name. Let's say I am giving student name S name, and this is an list. So list is indicated by square brackets. Okay. And I can give multiple data values here of different data types. So I am here giving 100 data values of student names. Student 1 to student 999,000 data values. Okay. Same like we can store different data types in a list. So I can even show their attendance, their roll number, or their mobile number, any data type. So any data type we can store in a list. So Practical, if we talk about practical example, we have a to-do list, right? We have to-do list of items in our daily life. Let's say I'm creating a variable called to-do, and I'm creating a list of to-do items here. So I'm giving the day first one is task one, the to-do list. The next one is task two. This is a type of list, and I'm storing some other integer. Let's say 45, and I
One
can store
six six.
float value 2.3f, right? So so these are the different data types, different data values I stored in my list. So we have list here, we have string here, we have, what is this type? This is an integer and this is a float. So we can store different data values and different data types in a list. Okay. And list is a mutable. What do you mean by a mutable? Mutable means the list is an, we can change the values in the list. Suppose, so we know that in programming, index start with 0. So this will be index 0. Task 1, task 2 will be index 1. And this will be in our index 2. And this will be our index 3, right? So if I want to change the index 1, what can I do is I can just do this is our list name of 0 is equal to, I can change this to some other value. Let's say it's task 3. Okay. There's some disturbance. Okay, that's how we can change the data value in the list. And we also talked about slicing in strings. If you remember, we can slice the string to half or whatever the index value we need. So here we have four different values here. Suppose I want to access one, so I can do to do of one. Or if I want to access the third data item, so I can do 0, 1, 2. So data to do of 2, so I can access this one, right? And there is one more way to create a list. So normally we create list with the variable name, and list is indicated by square brackets, right? And I can give multiple data values separated by comma. Let's say this has an integer, and this is again a string. This is a float value, and we can end with a square bracket. So this is a list. And one more method is using a list constructor. Using a constructor, we can also create a list. Okay. Let's say I'm creating, let's say fruits. Okay. So fruits is equal to, so we need to give this package here while creating constructor. So this constructor is nothing but a function. I will be discussing this in the oops concepts. But for now, remember that we can also create a list using the list constructor. So this is how we can call the list constructor. And here I need to give the data. Let's say apple, orange, and banana. Okay. So this is a list that contains three data values of type integer. So fruits is an list that has three data values that are strings. Okay. Let me show you here. Okay, so first things first, how to we create a Python file? So we just need to go to file and create a new file, and this is our Python. So to control S, and this is our session, let's say session 4. Okay, I'm saying that. So this is how Python file is created, and now I want to create a list. As I told, first we need to give the variable name. Okay, suppose, okay, I am creating the list of fruits or student names. That's it. The list is created. So we have given the variable name, student name is equal to the square brackets. So this is an empty list. We need to give the data. Suppose I'm giving the first name, second name, comma, third name. So these are my different values in my list. Okay. Like if in any case, if you want me to repeat the topic or repeat the concept, just let me know in the chat box. Okay. So this is how we create a list, and if we want to check the length of the list, we just need to use print len of the list name. So here list name is student names. So we can just print the length of the list. So it is 3. We have one first name, second name, and third name. So length will be 3. Okay. Now if you want to print, if you want to access only the first item, so what we can do is student names. This is an our list name, and we are accessing index 0, right? So we have 3 different values. This is our index 0. This is our index 1. This is our index 2, right? That's how we access the list. I'm again printing this one. So the output will be the first name. So this first name is our first index. Okay. And let's say if you want to slice, like if you want to get only 0, comma 1. So we know the slice concept, right? We talked in the strings. So we just need to print what's the variable name here, student names. So, do student of 0 to 2, right? So it's we have got first name, comma last name. So we just need to print first name, comma last name, and we use the slicing operator. This is 0 to 2. Okay, if you ask me the question, like if we can create list with multiple data types, like in this example, I only created with the strings. If you want me to, like if you ask the question, if we can create a list with multiple data values, yes, we can create the list. Suppose I'm creating a list ABC. So I'm passing an integer here, like hash, and then I can also give other data type, let's say integer 23, and also point f just an complex number, that's a float number. And again, I'm giving one more integer, one more string. Also, let me give, okay. So this is a string, This is an integer, this is a float, and this is again a string, and this is a boolean data type. So we have created list with multiple data types, where the values containing multiple data types. And you can also access the same using the above functions. So we can access the indexes like zero, starting 0, 1, 2, till the length of index. Okay, length of the string. So that is about list. And let's say if I want to modify, okay, let me comment this thing. Any questions till now? Any questions? Okay, okay. Now let's talk about different functions or different methods. So I have three, four, five. I have five different values in the list ABC. And if I want to add one more value, so we have a method called ABC list name dot append. So we're appending to the list. So the append is nothing but adding the new value to end of the list. Let's say I'm appending a boolean data type called false, right? So if we print the list, so we'll also talk about the control statements and different types of no if else and for classes in the next sessions. But just for example, let's say I'm printing different data values. So if we can see here, the ABC also contain the new data value called false. So in the line number 8, we just appended the false to ABC. So the false is added to our list called ABC. So now the length will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we also added false, right? So the length will be 6, right? If I print length, it will be 6. Okay, it's about adding a new data value into a list. Let's say I want to remove the element. If I want to remove by value, okay, right here, remove by value. If I want to remove the integer 23 from my list, so I can simply call the method called remove, and I need to remove 23. And let me print my base. Okay, if we see here, the new list doesn't contain the integer 23. So we removed integer in line number 15. And if we're printing the list again, we can see that 23 is removed from the list. So that is one of method to remove the data value using value. So let's say if I want to remove by index, and if I want to remove the first one, like I want to remove the hash, like I can simply call our list name dot pop. This is a pop method. So we need to provide index here. So index will be 0. Let me comment these things. print ABC. We can see hash is popped from the list. So we remove data value called hash using the remove function and using the pop function here. So in the pop method, we removed the first index. So the first index is 0. So we remove the hash and we can see output as 23, 1.3 include true and false. So we talked about append method and remove method. So remove method is used to remove value, and I also talked about pop method. So it is used to remove no the data value using index. Okay, and if I want to insert, let's say I want to insert at first index. So the first index will be 0, and I want to insert Python community. I can directly print the list here again. So here we inserted the Python community in our 0th index. So the output should be 0 hashing Python community and followed by these values. Let's see. Yeah. So if you see the output here, we have inserted at index 0. So we inserted Python community at index 0 and followed by the previous data values. And okay, let me create another list here called DEF. Hello, paper community. Okay. So this is an we cannot give def here. I'll see EFG. And if I want to add these two lists, and like if I want to add EFG list to ABC, I can use the method called. So we can concatenate. Let's say this my final function. So final list. So I want to concatenate ABC with my EFG. So it just means adding both. So if I'm printing the final list, it should add these both ABC and EFG, and it is returning me a list, and we are storing that in a final list. Okay, this is our final list that contains data values from our list 1 and then data values from list 2. Okay, we are just concatenating list 1 like called ABC, list 2 called EFG with and then we are storing this in our final list. Okay. And we have other functions. Okay, let me end this again. And there is other method. There are different other methods called. Let's say on this one. I'm using final list. I want to sort the list. I can just use dot sort. And then again, I'm printing the final list. Okay. So sort the list. The data type should be the same. Okay. Here we have seen an error called type error because we have final list that has both integer instance and string instance, and we cannot sort the different data type values. I'm giving a number list, let's say 112 67 09 45679 0 234. Okay, and I want to so list is indicated by square brackets. Don't forget that, and I can sort this using our list name called name of list dot sort, and then again I'm printing the list number list. Okay. We can see the values in our number list has been sorted in ascending order. So we have 9 in index 2, but it's then sorted in according to that dot sort function. And we have other function called reverse, other method called reverse. Let's say I want to reverse the number list. I can just call reverse method. Just call reverse, and then again I'm printing. So we have sorted the number list. So this is our sorted list like 967 one, and then we are reversing the list. So if we are reversing the list, the last index will be our first index, and 912 the second last index will be our second index from the beginning. So that's how we are reversing the list. Okay. So we talked about creating a list, right? Creating a list and accessing list and modifying list, like different methods called append method, insert method, and pop method. So modifying list. And we also talked about different types of methods available, like dot sort, dot reverse, and we talked about okay, and we have other method called index. I will share you. And then we also have other method called dot extend, dot index, and dot extend. So I have a list here. I want to know the index value of number 234. So there is a function. So I'm storing it in index, or I will print the output. So your a list name will be number list, and dot we have method called dot index, and I want to know the index of number 234. So I just need to call dot index method, and I need to pass the value called 234 because I want to know the index of 234 in the sorted list. So after reversing, the index will be 0, 1, 2. So it needs to give me number 2, right? So 234 is present in number 2 index. So it will return number 2 value. Okay, that's how the index method works in Python. And we have other method. Sorry, I'm from Java background, so I'm calling the functions in every time. we have, if we want to extend two lists, say I have list one, I have list two. And if I want to extend these two lists, I can simply call list one dot extend list two. Okay. So we are extending list one by adding list two in it. So the list one is both list one plus list two. So that is one of method in Python. Okay, any questions? Any questions till now?
No, sir.
Okay, sounds good. We talked about creating lists and different methods to access list, to modify list, and to call different methods like dot sort, dot reverse, and dot extend. And we also talked about dot index, right? So we can create list using the square brackets here. And if I want to talk the properties of list, so it is mutable. So it is changeable and it is ordered. So we have an order called indexes, right? It's 0, 1, 2. So it follows some orders. Like the specified element will be in the designated index. That and the index one has their own data. So that's how that data is ordered in the list. Okay, that's about the list. Any questions? Oh, index, okay. Okay, normally if we create a data variable, like I am creating the list one. So list one is my list data type. List one is my list data type, and it will point to a memory location. I have, let's say I'm storing 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So normally in the code editor we just give list one is equal to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 data. Okay, so on. So this is an integer list. Data type of this list is an integer because all the values in this list is an integer data type. Suppose I want the list one variable to access only memory location, first memory location. This is our first memory location. So we can simply call list one of zero. The list one of zero is this is our first index. I mean this is our zeroth index, first index, second, third. So what is my zeroth index here? It is zero. So normally we call this as first index, second index, third. Okay. First index starts with zero. Okay. So if we are calling list one of zero, this is point to memory location zero. So it will give us zero. If we call memory location one, so list one of one, it points to me one. So it is just returning me memory location in one. Okay. Same way, if I want to modify, so let's say if I want to modify the first index is zero. So I want to modify this to hash. So what it will do, it will just remove the zero from here and it will give the hash, and again the other data types will be printed. So this is how in the memory location the list is created. And using the index, so index is just a reference of the first index or second index. Okay, so reference the first object, like first data value, we started from 0, second is from 1, third is from 2. That's how till len of -1. Okay, so we were talking about strings yesterday in the session 2. I am creating the hash. So how the hash is created internally? A, S, H. So normally it's an array of characters. If I'm calling string of 0, string is created. String of 0 means it will point out to
H.
first index. String of 1 means it's pointing me to second index. Okay. String of 2 is pointing to third index. So this first index has 0, second index has 1, and third index has 2. Okay. So let me create a string called hash. And I want to access the memory location of first index. So I want to return the variable present in my first index of string str. So your first index is h. To access the first index, we call string of 0. Okay, I am commenting these things. So what will be string of 0 here? String of 0 will be h. Okay, I have to print string of 0, it is h. Okay. Okay, I will explain it again. So what is the length of the string? So what is the len of str here? It is 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? The length of hash is 4. So if it is 4, the indexes will be 0 to 3. Since the index starts with 0, 1, 2, 3. If you want to access the first index, we just need to call string of 0, str of 0. Same for second, str of 1, and then str of 2, and then same str of 3. Okay, so that's how we can access, modify, or we can even slice up the strings or list. Like if any data type, be it any data type like list, tuple, set, dictionary, strings, any data type. So this is how the indexes work. This is how we can access indexes or modify indexes. Okay, and okay, is it understandable or do you want me to repeat it again? Okay, we have the second one, the second data type. So what we talked about list uh, in the during the meeting before. So list is a data type that can store multiple data values. I am creating 0, 1, 2 till 99. So multiple items are created and stored using a list. So list is my variable, and these are my different items in a list. So if you want me to define the definition, list is nothing but collection of, it's a data structure that store the collection of items, that can store collection of items. So 0 to 99 are different, is a collection of 99 items for us. So it's a 100 items starting with 0 to 99. So we are storing 100 items in one variable. So same like in tuple. So tuple is also can store multiple items in a single variable. I'm creating, let's say, our other numbers or other, and I'm storing other numbers of 100 people till 100, 0 to 100 people. Okay, the first things first. To create an tuple, we need to donate it with round brackets. So list is with square brackets, tuple is with round brackets. So compared to list, everything in the tuple is same. So everything is same. Like the methods we use in the list, the same we can use in tuples, and same different methods we can use in tuples. The only difference is, one difference is it is unmutable. There is only one difference between list and tuple, it is unmutable. So that means it is unchangeable. We cannot change the values in the tuple. So so in India we have other numbers. So once we got the other number, we cannot change the other numbers. I have a family of 4 people. I am showing other numbers of 4 people, like family 1, other number. I'm showing in a tuple, other number of one, first person, second person, third person, fourth person. This is a tuple. These are round brackets. And once the tuple is created, we cannot modify the values inside it. Once I create a tuple of different other numbers of 4 people, I cannot modify the tuple. I cannot change it to some other value, because so that's the main difference between tuple and list. Once the tuple is created, we cannot change the value. We can access the value, but we cannot modify the value inside the tuple. Let me show the example. I have fam other. Okay. I'm creating a tuple, so it is with round brackets. I'm sharing 10235 645 and 577234. Okay. These are my other numbers of 4 people. If I want to modify the tuple, we cannot do that. So let's say I want to modify the zeroth index to some other value. We can't do that. It will show me an error. So we have a type error here that says object does not support item assignment. So we cannot assign a new value once the tuple is created. So that's why we say tuple is, let me write, tuple is unchangeable. So we cannot modify the tuple once it is created. So that's the only difference between tuples and lists. Okay. So normally, how do we create a list? So we just need to give a variable name, list variable name, and we need to print this one, right? If I want to print list, it gives me an empty value.
Yeah, just
Okay, if I want to create a tuple the same way,
the same way.
tup one, I will show an error here. Python version, Common 3.9.6. Okay, in the latest version, like if we want to create a tuple, we cannot just create the round brackets. So we need to insert the comma. So this is okay. This is an empty tuple, so we don't have tuple. That's why it doesn't shows an error. Suppose I'm giving values 3, 4, 5. So if you want to do the same thing in list, we do list one is equal to square brackets of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but in tuples, if you want to store single value, we just need to give commas here. So normally I'm using the different version, but in the latest version, so we need to use item comma. So this is how we can create a tuple of single item, or else the interpreter does not consider this as a tuple in the latest version. Okay. So to create a tuple of one item, we need to give the item value and we need to give a comma. So that's how the tuple is recognized by Python. Okay. Okay. So I told that everything about tuple is same compared to list, but there is only one difference. So the difference is it is unchangeable. So we cannot modify the tuple once it is created. But if you want to modify the tuple value, how we can do this? Anyone? So if you remember in the previous sessions, we were talking about converting an integer to string, typecasting, or string to some other data type, right? Like in the same way, to modify the tuple, to modify this tuple, I can convert this tuple to list, and then I will modify the items in the list, and again I will change it to tuple. Okay, you got this one. So I want to item. Okay, I want to modify this item, but that is not possible in the tuple. So if I want to modify the item in the tuple, I need to convert it to a list data type. I need to convert it to a list data type, and then so I am modifying tuple to list, and then I want to modify the data value. Let's say item two. I am modifying the data value in the list, and then again I am changing it to tuple item two. So we achieved our goal. Like we are changing our data value from item 1 to item 2 using typecasting. So we converted our list data type to sorry, I'm tuple data type to a list data type, and then we modify the data there, and then again we change the list data type to a tuple data type. Okay, just let me show me that. Show me example. This is a comment I'm writing. Changing it's a modifying data value in a tuple. Okay, let's say I have a tuple called which, so that's containing different vegetables. Let's say avocado. So avocado, it's a string data type. I'm giving avocado, and let's say I've given zucchini, and then I've given spinach, tomato, then I've given potato. Okay, so this is a tuple that containing different data values. So I'm storing different vegetables in one data variable called veg. Let's say if I want to modify the first data type, data value. So I don't want avocado in my veggies. So I want to modify the first index. So if I want to, so normal in list, we just go and then modify based on the index, right? So if I want to modify veg of 0 to, uh, I want asparagus. Okay. Here we see another. Okay, just let me run here. It says we cannot assign a function call here. So we cannot modify the data in the tuple once it is created. But somehow I want to change the data value inside the tuple. So the best thing is to create a list. Okay, I'm creating which one. We talked about the constructor, right? The constructor for creating list. Okay. So I'm using my constructor list and I am passing the values in my wedge list. Okay. So the wedge one is a list now. So we converted the tuple wedge to a list. Okay. So now the wedge one is a list, and then I can modify the data values inside the list, right? So I want to modify wedge one of 0. So I want to modify avocado with asparagus. I'm using ASP. So avocado is replaced by asparagus. And then again, what I can do is I can again change my list to a which tuple. So which one is list? I'm again changing which one list to a tuple, and I'm storing in the which. So which is available here. Let me print this. Okay. Now I'm printing which. Okay. So in the updated tuple, we can see avocado is replaced by a asparagus, right? So we basically converted our tuple data type to a list. So we created a new list called wedge one, and we just created a new list. Let me show. Okay, so wedge is my tuple. I converted this to wedge one list to make sure this is understandable. So tuple is converted to list, and then I modify the data value. So here the index is 0. So I want to modify the first index. So I replaced, okay, this is a list again, avocado. So I modified this which one of 0 to I have modified this as per this. And then what I'm doing again is I'm converting the list to tuple again. So tup so which me tuple, so which is equal to tuple of, so this which one. So which one is of my list. So I'm converting the after modifying the list, I'm converting the list to tuple. And then the modified values are changed to a new tuple. So which will be my tuple. Okay. Any questions? Any questions till now? Okay. So normally, like in the mathematics or when we talk about coordinates, we normally store it like in the round brackets, right? Let's say this is one and this is one. So this is one comma one. So this is a tuple data type. So once the data type is created, we cannot change the coordinates. So that's how in like mathematics also denote like different types of you know terminologies also we use this span this round brackets. And if you're asking different arithmetic operators, plus, minus, into something. So there is no need to use these round brackets there. So I can directly give a plus b, or I created a is equal to something, b is equal to something, and I can directly use c is equal to a plus b. So there is no need to create round brackets and then pass the a plus b inside. Okay. Okay, we talked about different methods in list, how to create a list and how to create a tuple. Okay, so we talked about different methods in list. The same applies to a tuple, but we need to convert the tuple to lists. After converting tuple to list, we can use the same, same functions or same methods. Okay, so that's how the list and tuples are created, and we can modify them accordingly. I think it's almost 1 hour. So I will let's stop sharing, stop presenting my screen. So in the next session, we will talk about sets and dictionaries. But before that, I will give an practice question. Just let me open. I'll also post the question in our WhatsApp communities, but I will just give an overview of the problem statement again. Okay, before that, do you want me to talk about any different topics in the next sessions? Like in the last week, I was asking about if you have any GitHub account. So, do you want me to talk about what is in my GitHub, how to create a GitHub, and how can we collaborate on the GitHub? I'm sharing the document link here that has the questions. Okay, let me stop recording first.